your next comic, put your hands together for a good friend of mine, Miss Bonnie Bosco.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Several months ago, the gym that I belonged to was closing, and I had to look for another gym. And I decided, well, maybe it's time to go to a co-ed gym. And I went up there, and the instructor was taking me around. And I realized that I broke out into a sweat, and only my eyeballs were getting exercise. To see all these guys with every little part of their body bulging out, it was overwhelming. But when he took me to the pool area, and these guys got out of the pool wearing a sock on a string, I just fainted. And I decided this is not for me, I would never work out. And I went back to the all-female gym. And I went up there, and usually when I work out, I wear my leotards and tights, because I figure, well, I'm not in bad shape, but I just want to tone up. Everybody was up there wearing their sweats and overweight. Nobody spoke to me, I really didn't care. And I usually start out just weightlifting. And I went in the corner and I was just weightlifting. But there was a woman there. Not only was she weightlifting, but she was sitting on, you know, one of those big balls she was bouncing up and down. And I figured, well, you know, I could do that, even though I never tried it, but I did it. And I got on the ball, and I was weightlifting, and I crashed right into the mirror. But I didn't want her to think that it was an accident, so I got back on. And the ball deflated, and I just fell back. And I decided, well, I'll just go on the treadmill. And I was running on the treadmill, but the same woman was next to me, and she was running on the treadmill. But not only was she running, but she wasn't holding on. And I figured, well, I could do that. So I started running, I was running backwards, and I fell. Nobody helped me, but I didn't want it to think that it was an accident, so I got back on. And I was running. And again, I was running backwards, and I just fell. But this time I smashed my head. My hair was wet, I was bleeding. I didn't care, I just got up and went on the bike. And I was just sitting on, riding the bike. Same woman, she didn't leave me alone. She was, not only was she on the bike, but she was weightlifting. And I figured, well, I could do that. So I got the weights. I was bike riding, and I kept hitting myself in the forehead. But I didn't want it to think that it was an accident, so, you know, I just kept doing it until I had welts all over my forehead. My head was bleeding, and I just got off. And there was another machine that I went to, where you really need a lot of coordination, and which I lack. I don't really know the name of the machine. It sounds like eucalyptus, but it's not. But the same woman was on the other one. I figured, well, I could do this. So I got on. And of course, I used the same arm and the same leg, which you're not supposed to do. And I was completely thrown off. But I didn't want it to think it was an accident, so I got back on. And I'm running, and I'm trying to be coordinated. And I used the same arm and the same leg. The machine jammed. I was thrown off. I was electrocuted. I was just laying on the floor. But I looked at her, and she had that smirk on her face, like, you know, I know that you can't do anything. There was smoke coming out of my feet. Anyway, the next day, you know, I had to go to work. I was all full of welts. I worked for a dentist, and I just had to be there. And I think he felt sorry for me. But he said, if you're going out for lunch, will you do me a favor? Will you just make a quick deposit for me? I says, of course. I tiptoed, because I can't even walk, my feet were burning. I tiptoed down to the corner, and while I was going to the bank, there was a mailbox. What possessed me to drop this quick deposit in the mailbox, I just don't know, because I wasn't in my right mind. I panicked. I put my arm into the mailbox trying to get it, and I got stuck. And I was in there when the postal truck came by. The guy got out. He removed my arm, and he wanted to know what I was doing. And I told him, he says, well, it's against the law. I can't give you the envelope back. I said, well, there's no way I can go back to work. There's cash in there. Anyway, he got into the truck, and he started driving. But I couldn't let this happen, so I ran, and I leaped on the truck, and I'm hanging on the truck, and screaming, he'll kill me, my boss will kill me. The senior citizens that were sitting outside thought they were watching a movie, and they were cheering me on. Anyway, he stopped short. I fell in the gutter. I was all filthy. He felt sorry for me. He did give me the envelope back. I went into the bank, and then I went back to work. Like nothing happened. I was disheveled. And the doctor said to me, "Did you have a good lunch?" I said, "Yes." He said, "This patient said she saw you screaming on a truck that I was going to kill her." And I thank you for being here.